Number 1, read the line.
You will behold the glory of my sacred wood.
That's not him.
Okay. Number 2, read the line.
You will behold the glory of my sacred wood.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Number 3.
You will behold the glory of my sacred wood.
That's him.
Every year, 1 in 5 gamers is accosted by an elf. We're tired of elves.
What's up, gamers? It's Koopa here at EnMasse Entertainment's booth where they're showing off their new MMO, or upcoming MMO, TERA, and I'm here with Brian, who's one of the producers. So, what is TERA? Let's start with the basics.
So TERA is a big new action MMO that's coming next year. I put a lot of emphasis on action because that's what we're all about here at TERA. And what's really cool about TERA is that you're able to do different action-based moves in the game that would normally rely on stats. So there's a lot of times that you'd have to dodge in a game, but instead you're actually physically dodging out of the way with your character.
Because there's actually a dodge button as part of the combat.
Correct. So there's some classes that'll have dodge. The archer class will have the ability to kind of jump backwards and put distance between themselves and their enemy. Then there's other classes that can throw up their shield and stop an onrushing or charging enemy.
Okay, how many classes are we actually talking about here?
There's 8 different classes.
8, okay.
Yeah.
And is there any subclass type of stuff or no?
So we'll allow different skill differentiation, so you can be a little bit more offensive or defensive minded depending on your class, or maybe you could be a little more buff centric versus heal centric as well. But there's 8 specific classes.
And they vary a large amount of. We saw some of the stuff already where they're vastly different creatures and races, I would say.
Yes.
So how many total do we have? And are they locked to certain classes?
So right now we're kind of exploring the class and race combination. We've gone through a lot of what we're calling focus group tests to see what's working, what's not, and where the balance lies. But we have 6 different races. We have a wide range. We have some really fat guys called the Barakas to some little kind of cute and furry animals we call the Popori.
Yeah, there's quite a distinct amount. We saw there was like the human types, there's some elves as well, and then the short little furry guys you're talking about. And then the one guy, the Baraka, just looked like a big boulder almost.
Yeah, and the best part is that their dance is the robots. So
very nice animation for a guy his size, I guess. Exactly. So what's the story behind TERA? We saw the world, and it looks gorgeous. Like, it's very pretty, colorful. I mean, it was only the demo. I don't know how, if it changes when we go to different lands and stuff like that, but what's the story? What are we doing here?
So kind of the couple sentence story is that you're united as one, all part of the same faction. We're not splitting factions of players and pitting themselves against each other. We're letting them kind of be a part of themselves, and they're all united against this one evil called the Argons. And the Argons are emerging from the world, and they're being repelled back. The good news is that your side's pretty much winning, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And so all the races are part of what we call the Valkian Federation. And the Valkian Federation is, this united front against this evil Argons.
So is there going to be any PvP in the game or no?
We'll have a PvP in a variety of different ways. We'll allow PvP servers where you'll be able to do world PvP, but also PvE servers where it'll just be consensual PvP, where you'll be able to have battlegrounds, duels, and the like.
Like arena-style combat where...
Yeah, more battleground where it's like there's a single objective and it's like guild versus guild type of combat.
Oh, okay. Is there anything like that in the demo right now or no?
No, we're not focusing on the PvP right now. TERA has a real large focus on PvE, the story, and kind of the big encounters with the mobs and, kind of the action that comes with fighting like, a 3-story monster.
Great. And how big are the groups going to be fighting those kind of monsters?
Right now we have 5-man parties, and a good group will kind of vary who they have in it, but it's going to be very important in groups to follow what we're calling formations, because our game actually has collision built into it with the monsters. And so
I love games with collision. It adds that little extra strategy.
It does, and especially for tank classes, because they
can actually stand in front.
Right, the shields will have to hold back the monsters, and the damage that comes through is actually reduced a lot. So a sorcerer will want to stand behind a lancer because they'll take 90% less damage than if they were standing somewhere else and got hit with it. So the tactics and how you're doing and how you hold the monster still is going to be so important, especially for the range classes as well, because the archers and the sorcerers are going to be having to bombard it with an actual target.
Do they shoot over?
Well, if they're not aiming at them, they'll miss. Yeah, so they'll have to position themselves so they're not going through the tanks. Yeah. So
otherwise, they hit the tanks, or it just goes away.
It won't hurt the tanks, but it just won't make it to the enemy.
Interesting. How Do we know about how many instances there are and how big the world's going to be?
So the world is huge. I believe we have over 50 zones with thousands of quests. We're trying to give a couple different instance choices per level range. So, you know, we're going to have a good amount of instances in the end, all the way up. But, you know, like I said, we're doing these focus group tests right now that we're working on really kind of honing in the pacing of the game and making sure that there's plenty to do throughout all the levels and that it's, you know, it's a consistent flow from levels 1 to 60.
When can we expect open beta type stuff, beta and whatnot?
So we're planning on launching next year. We're running the focus group test with the hundreds of players, and we'll eventually start ramping up closer to our, what we'll call closed betas eventually. But we haven't made any announcements yet at this time.
Hey, awesome. So it's TERA from EnMasse Entertainment, and we're going to get some in-game footage for you guys too. So stick around. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much.